Dubai, the Middle East's land of the future. Higher, faster, XXL is the motto of the popular with tourists Desert Emirate in the Gulf. One of the highlights is the Atlantis Resort at the top of the artificial island, the Palm Jumeirah. The Aquaventure water theme park is also part of the complex. It's the largest of its kind in the Middle East. But the makers of the Atlantis are stepping things up a gear. A new section of the park is being built on an area of almost 6 hectares, including a 34-meter-high slide tower. The opening date is approaching fast, but there are still frequent delays on the construction site.
The problem is the tying to all 4 pipes that we can't get any way to get it out of the bottom.
The workers are under time pressure.
We're not making very good progress, huh? Zero progress here. Zero.
One of the new colossal water slides is also causing concern.
Those 2 pipes are supposed to be in the low point of the slide. When we turned the water on, the water wasn't going away. The scaffold guys aren't in. Where are they?
Lots of problems. Can the new Aquaventure section open on time? The Aquaventure theme park is part of the Atlantis Resort, which opened in 2008 on the Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. There are 11 water slides in the original part of the complex. One of these is the Leap of Faith, which features an almost vertical, nearly 70 km/h drop of 28 meters. The Aquaconda, with its enormous diameter, is ridden on rubber rafts. And on Poseidon's Revenge, guests accelerate to 60 km/h on a free fall. The expansion will increase the size of the water park by almost a third. The newly added Slide Paradise covers an area of 5.5 hectares and was built in the record time of 12 months. Construction cost some 50 million euros. The centerpiece of the new section of the park is the 34-meter-high Trident Tower. This contains the entrances to the 6 new slides. Each of these promises a uniquely thrilling ride. Sophie Betiam is the senior project engineer in charge of slide construction.
Vortex is a fun one of my favorite. It's a nice slow start, a serpentine style ride, and then the end is about a meter drop into the pool.
The Orange Odyssey of Terror has a height of 25 meters and a length of 200 meters. Guests are shot through the 2 large tornado waves at up to 50 km/h. For a brief moment, this ride over the water creates a feeling of weightlessness. The turquoise Medusa's Lair is ridden in pairs.
This has a combination of our dueling pipeline, our rocket blast technology. It is a race-style ride, meaning 2 tracks side by side.
The Green Hydra is also a racer, but here 4 people race against each other, head first. There's also the Immortal Falls, a free fall with 2 tubes, a length of 125 meters, and a maximum speed of 50 km/h. Sasha Trima is the head of the entire Aquaventure park. His job? To open the new section as soon as possible. A trained chef, he was previously in charge of all the resort's restaurants.
Die The possibilities in Dubai, people always say, are unlimited. And now I really have jumped into a field that's actually relatively new. I've been given the chance to look after a $100 million project and enter a completely different professional field where I can also learn something and expand my horizons.
Sasha has swapped pots and pans for a whole host of record-breaking slides. One of them is the Shockwave, a colossal slide 450 meters in length. The tube elements were made from a fiberglass specially developed for this slide. They are extra hard in order to withstand the stresses placed on the long tubes.
This is the first one in the world, a Master Blaster ride, also in terms of length. We're here for the first time to inspect it and make sure everything is okay.
The Shockwave is made up of hundreds of individual parts that were manufactured in Canada, shipped to Dubai, and assembled here on site. The joints between the elements are meticulously grouted. There cannot be any sharp edges whatsoever on which guests might injure themselves. The slide bosses painstakingly check every meter of the tube.
The silicone is in place, looking good. Right. I can see over here we have one little chip.
So they're gonna fill it up and then probably polish it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I see here just some stains on the fiberglass that the Pro Slides team are going to remove before opening up the slide for the public. This is basically just buffering and polishing the fiberglass so that you know, it's just some visible stains that you don't want, you know.
Because especially when they open up, like it's a new thing, right? So you want to have it immaculate, right? I mean, normally you could still operate. Like what they do is normally on the other side, so we would mark it, and then the engineering team of facilities, once we have handed over, they would then come and kind of fix it.
What makes this slide special? 4 rafts can travel through the extremely long tube at the same time.
Okay, let's have a look at the sensor and sensor cover.
Yeah.
Looks perfect.
Yeah.
The sensors report to the top if there's a jam in the slide. That seems to work. But what Sasha doesn't know yet, this track will throw his schedule into disarray. Water in the desert. Dubai, the city of millions, and Aquaventure are supplied with water from enormous desalination plants that turn seawater into fresh water. Around 23 million liters of water shoot through the park every day. The water pipes are laid underground and supply all attractions and pools, including the Raging Rapids, a 500-meter-long artificial whitewater river, complete with rapids. Sean Adams is the head construction manager of the Atlantis Resort. He has been in charge of all special projects like this one for 20 years. Sean's job is to translate what designers and planners have thought up into reality. Not always an easy task.
I kind of think designers are a little bit like weathermen. You know, they could be wrong 50% of the time and still keep their job. But yeah, we'll get it fixed.
There are apparently a few planning errors in the Raging Rapids.
So when Tufsud rode the river, they proclaimed that I have a very slow section right in front of the wave room here, where they said I needed to add additional propulsion to push the guests through the area. One thing is we're adding additional propulsion to get rid of this, I hate to say, almost a toilet bowl effect, where you're almost kind of in a whirlpool and not moving on.
Sean's people need to have another go at it. The water has been drained from the Raging Rapids again. Now, the pipes and the outlet nozzle are laid to strengthen the propulsion.
We cut the pipes today?
Yes, and take the pipes up. The action to where water level is below the pipe level.
So we're below the pipe level.
Yes.
That's good. So we don't have to drain it all the way. That's
No.
good. I was wrong on that. I like being wrong sometimes. So, and you're going to come up to about where we're standing here now,
Yes.
and cut across to here where the guys are excavating this trench.
Okay, they're excavating and it will come up and it will be joining with this line, go to the wave room.
And one of the lines is going to improve the propulsion in front.
Because of the faulty design, Sean has lost a few days on the Raging Rapids. He tries to make up for the lost time with an extra shift at the weekend.
We're hoping to be back up and running by Monday. That's the goal. The guys we've already arranged, everybody's in tomorrow. You can see here, the guys are putting it back together, so we'll start piping from that direction. The important part is just getting tied in there and getting tied in there, then we can fill the river back up. Not great at this stage in the project to have to do this, but I think there's an emoji where you go like this, isn't there?
The gigantic Aquaventure water world attracts thousands of guests every day. An armada of 500 lifeguards ensures their safety. As soon as an attraction has been approved by the German Technical Inspection Association, TÜV, staff training begins. Today, it's the Orange Odyssey of Terror's turn. The 25-meter-high and 200-meter-long slide has 2 tornado waves. That's what the 2 huge, steep curves are called. Due to the super elevation of these waves, a top speed of 50 kilometers per hour is reached. Guests ride on rubber rafts.
When it goes left, you have to wait, okay? Until the rider hits a certain point where you can dispatch again.
The safety of the guests is always the top priority. That's why all lifeguards first have to go down the slide on one of the rafts themselves. Because only if they understand the guests' ride behavior can they give the right instructions and avoid accidents.
The second thing is like how confident they are to give the safety skills, because those are the things that the guests will feel confident that they're riding safely. All the other things like opening procedures and the rafts and make sure that all the light systems, they are functioning, those are the things that they need to remember all the time. And as well as communication. Communication is a way for us to know as section managers whether the operation is running smoothly.
Before a raft filled with guests is allowed into the tube, the passengers are weighed. 320 kilograms in one raft. That's the limit. But the rafts cannot be too light either, because they could get stuck in the tube.
Maximum of 5 people and then minimum of 2. So let's say if there are 4 people that wants to ride as a group, and then they're on red, so we basically divide them into 2 groups, so 2 of 2.
The ride through the orange tube starts relatively gently, but quickly picks up speed as the huge steep curves, the tornado waves, provide the extra shot of adrenaline and a brief moment of weightlessness. The water slides in the original part of Aquaventure are a uniform green color. In the new part of the park, the slides are a mix of bright colors. It looks great, but causes some problems.
That was through a lot of studies and research and whatever else to work out what colors deteriorated the slowest, and that pale green was the color that deteriorated the slowest. These bright colors, we're going to have our work cut out with these. These all have to be cleaned and waxed on a monthly basis. Over at the old park, we only do it every 6 months.
So for Nicholas Pauly and his team, the slide's colorful design means extra work.
Basically, if the water touches it, it's our problem. And it's our job to make sure that everything's open every day of the year. I mean, there's no scheduled shutdowns for maintenance every year or whatever else. If repairs need to be done, it gets done at night, ready so that we're open to guests at 10 a.m. the following morning.
23,000 cubic meters, or 23 million liters of water, are consumed by Aquaventure every day. This huge volume of water has to be kept free of germs and bacteria at all times, despite the high outdoor temperatures. This isn't possible without chemicals. The main chemical used is calcium hypochlorite, a carbon-based inorganic chlorine product. UV light is used in areas where there are lots of children. This kills bacteria safely, but the water still has a slight unwanted cloudiness.
That's why with some of the areas we favour towards ozone, because that really sharpens up the clarity of the water, especially for our deeper pools. When we get 3.5 metres deep, obviously we want that water as clear as possible, so hence we've used ozone on them.
A water park in one of the dustiest and hottest regions on Earth is a challenge. Most water parks in the world have to heat their water. Here, the opposite is true. The water temperatures cool down for at least 7 months of the year. Spray mist is also used for further rapid cooling. The resort is located on an offshore artificial island in the sea. But this doesn't protect it from sandstorms and dust. The park designers tried to defy the desert dust with green barriers.
And this landscaping is actually going to help us with the dust. You'll find once this thickens up and a lot of this stuff on the edges is very dense once it grows out, and that'll create a bit of a dust barrier for us to stop a lot of stuff getting blown into the pools. And you'll find it's very heavy around the river, again for the same factor. It creates an additional barrier, but a natural one. So most of the dust and sand will get caught up in that and then fall into the garden. So it makes it a lot easier for us to maintain.
Until the plants have grown, the filter systems will have to run at full speed.
That 2-hour filtration cycle will have filtered all the water in these pools within 2 hours, and within 3 it'll be crystal clear and we'll be able to clearly see the bottom of the pool.
Whatever has settled on the floor is vacuumed away manually. At least as important as powerful pumps are the special filter systems in the water park.
Basically, the water comes out, it goes through a screen. It's not a filter, it just takes out large particles, things like leaves and things like that. Things that could get stuck in the impeller of the pump and slow it down, or rocks and stones and things that do get washed up in pools. So it gets screened here, so it's all tiny particles that are left, comes in through the pump, goes up through and then delivers to the slide.
The latest generation filter systems recycle the water efficiently. That means less electricity and, above all, less water consumption. This is especially important in a desert location like Dubai, where every liter of fresh water has to be extracted from the sea in an elaborate process. The treated water is also of consistently good quality.
This has an automatic system where basically we work off the pressure differential up here. So when it gets too far apart, it goes through an automatically cleaning process. And what happens is the candles inside it are what they call a bump process, but basically they just rattle and all the dirt falls off it and settles to the bottom. Then it goes through a regenerative process where they push the media back over the actual candles to reline them so that the dirt sticks to it.
The filter systems not only reduce water consumption, they can also be controlled particularly effectively and require little manpower.
I can view any controller that we have on our existing property at the moment from my phone. I can view it, adjust it, modify it if need be on the go, which is ideal and why we're looking at data connections for all of these. So we're not so heavily reliant on people and we can utilize the people to do other things like clean slides.
The new section of Aquaventure is set to open as soon as all the work has been completed. Time is running out, but work on the Whitewater River has stopped. The pipes have still not been laid. Construction manager Sean Adams is mad.
We're not making very good progress, huh? You had a good day off yesterday? You enjoyed your day off?
Yes.
Yeah, I was here, working. Yeah. He had a day off yesterday. It's good for him, huh?
The problem? The position of the pipes was not only poorly planned, they were then incorrectly installed. The result? Whirlpools formed in the river, which stopped the raft's journey. This means that TÜV has not approved the system due to safety reasons.
The problem is the tying to all 4 pipes, there's one pipe on the bottom, and we can't get any way to get it out of the bottom. So now they have to go deeper. The health and safety guys stopped them working yesterday again. So now we have to lower all this dirt even further to make it safe for them. It's turning into a disaster, yeah. Yesterday the piping was supposed to be done. This connection would have been today. We cored the holes in the chamber yesterday, so the penetrations are in there, but zero progress here, zero.
What the head construction manager doesn't need right now are more problems. But here they come. on the new extreme slide, Shockwave.
If you look up there, those two pipes are supposed to be in the low point of the slide. Somehow in the design, they ended up in the higher point in the slide. Nobody caught it until we turned the water on. And when we turned the water on, the water wasn't going away.
Up to 4 rafts carrying a maximum of 5 people can ride on the Shockwave at the same time. The slide has powerful jets which propel the rafts forward. Where the pipe elements were mounted too high, the water now collects and cannot drain away. This slows the rafts down too much. A fatal assembly error.
This is a brand new slide, never been built before. I don't quite understand how this has happened because every other low spot is correct. It's only that one.
According to the schedule, the 450-meter-long Shockwave should already have the TÜV seal of approval.
So now we have to go up, cut the pipes, and flip it and move it back to this section. They say I like to change things, but if it doesn't work, it's a change to necessity, right? If it doesn't, if you can't do it the way you're supposed to, you have to do something else, right? Because it has to get done. Matt's standing right there, inconspicuously, so he thinks he can take that whole blue section off there, and I hope he's correct.
So my plan is to remove that entire belly pan and just change the two around. They are the same piece. Hoping it all goes well.
Scaffolding has to be erected for work at this height. It should have been in place long ago.
The scaffold guys aren't in. Where are they? Now, on track 12, they started yesterday and they haven't completed. They need to get going, huh? Please, please, please. The biggest problem we have now is everybody's leaving, right? I mean, we went from having 1,500 people here in the middle of the summer. Now we're down to 100, 150, 200 maybe.
Matt estimates it will take a few hours to alter the track elements. During this time, the neighboring track has to stop running as well. This affects the other employees' timing.
We keep the ride off and he's able to get in there right away.
The bad news has also reached park manager Sascha Trima.
We'll just go through what will be ready when in order to see that we're on schedule.
Now it's a case of wait and see and hope that Matt can quickly get a grip on the problem. Because opening the new part of the park without the record-breaking Shockwave is not an option. From the Trident Tower, park boss Sascha Trima has the best view over his realm. Down in the new restaurant, the test runs are in full swing.
Here we are currently testing out the workflow, making sure that the entire workflow runs smoothly from 1 to 10 to the guest. That takes a little while, and it will be a few days before we can really get going.
Today, all park employees are invited to eat at Snappers, simulating a real-life situation for their restaurant colleagues. Chef Jörg Unga wants to know if his guests are satisfied.
Hello, how are you doing? All okay? How's the food? You enjoy?
Awesome, Jeff.
Yeah?
Fantastic.
What did you have?
The prawn is really nice.
Yeah? Okay.
And the burger also, chicken burger had
Caesar, it was good? Yeah? Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
It's going quite well. There are still a few small things, little hiccups, but that's normal. It's all part of the process and helps us to see what the guests want.
In the kitchen, it's all about fast food.
In a water park, you serve food that is very convenient, you know? Because most people want to eat quickly and then get back to the water slides, to relaxing.
Whether or not real guests will be served here soon will be decided here, on the Shockwave. The extra powerful water propulsion and the impressive length of almost 450 meters are the special attractions of the extreme slide. A slide of this length is a real novelty, making it all the more frustrating that a mishap happened here of all places during construction. Tests on the slide were actually scheduled for today, but they've been postponed until the incorrectly assembled elements are removed and reinstalled.
So what we're doing is swapping the two belly pans out and lowering the drainage point more to the valley of the booster so that all the water can drain out and there's no puddles.
The individual elements are screwed together as well as glued because they have to withstand high levels of stress day in and day out under extreme weather conditions.
We need to remove all this silicone here. Make sure it's nice and clean, smooth surface. Reapply the silicone, fix it back in position again. It sounds easy, but it's time consuming. But yeah, we'll get it done.
Sideways. So we can bring. There you go. Yeah, so bring there, so we can insert it going. Okay, guys. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay, we need one guy there, top corner. I'll go there. Oh my God. Yeah. Wait.
Now, accuracy is called for. If the elements are not joined together with a perfect fit, it would result in disaster during operation. The track would have to be closed down and repaired again.
Okay, there you go.
Due to the alteration work on the track, the date scheduled for the TÜV inspection has fallen through. Head construction manager Sean Adams has experience building such systems and has allowed for extra buffer time.
TÜV said we got all the certificates last week except for the Shockwave, which again, it's the first time ever ride, so we knew that one was going to take longer. We saved that one for last. That period was always going to be extended compared to the rest of the rides. The rest of the rides exist somewhere else in the world. This one's a one of a kind right now.
The TÜV engineers are not only checking the new water slides before the new part of the park opens, they're taking a close look at the whole complex. This, of course, includes the traffic routes, all necessary safety standards, and the entire flow of operations. To make sure guests reach the slides in an orderly fashion, the workers are installing guidance systems.
Bravo, you know, they're not checking the level like they were before. Look at they're not as straight as they were the first day. These guys aren't paying attention like they were the first day. Look at it. The problem is not the post, the problem is the drilling. And then they were supposed to be checking it with the level, right? Check it with the level, then install it. So they're skipping a step. The first day they were using a level, right? And the piece in the ground, they were making it flat. Now look at it.
Most of the workers are unskilled laborers from India, Bangladesh, or Pakistan. Not only here, but on all construction sites in Dubai.
It's a challenge, right? But you need to find the good supervisors and the good guys that do understand English, because the interesting thing is, to try to learn Hindi, there's 150 languages in India. You're never going to hit the right one, right? You need a lot of patience here, and sometimes you get to the boiling point and you have to go scream in the closet, right? I mean, something as simple as this. They did it in the two buildings down there, and they started there, and they're perfect. And then I kept the same people doing it here, and you can see it. They're not straight, and there's no fixing that now. It's epoxied in and it's done. So hopefully when everybody gets here, they'll be so excited to ride the ride, they won't notice the crooked stanchions. I don't know. Frustrating.
The next morning, the Shockwave is also put to the test by the German TÜV. Water parks have very specific requirements. They're very different to normal theme parks. So the TÜV has its own department dedicated to inspecting these extreme adventure pools. Alex Schrott is the head of this special unit.
The challenge is that actually when it's all built, your own body is more at risk, so to speak, than in a roller coaster. In my opinion, a roller coaster is safer from a technical perspective than a water slide, because in a roller coaster you are strapped in and can't move. In a water park, things depend on how people behave. So if people don't follow the rules or orders, then there's a risk. And we have to mitigate this risk by considering all eventualities when we test the slides. In other words, also the misbehavior of users.
The German TÜV is not only a real authority here in Dubai. All over the world, the professionals are called on when it comes to the safety of technology in action.
We ultimately check all the rafts, but we're checking the test rafts now for damage to make sure that the seams are all fully welded, that the valve is properly positioned. All these things have to be checked before we let them on the rides.
We put first the full load, and then this is the same what we do without passengers, right?
We put water into the test dummies to make them heavy, and then the test dummies are placed in different arrangements in the ride to test how the ride behavior is. That is, how the raft behaves in the slide, if there is proper weight distribution in the boat.
So guys, do we get water?
They are going to bring the hose because they have to.
Okay.
Before people are allowed on the slide, it's the turn of the plastic torsos filled with water. The dummies stand in for the guests. This way, the engineers can simulate the behavior of a fully loaded raft on its way down. Later, when the slide is up and running, up to 4 rafts will be able to travel in the tube at the same time.
The system here is after the valley first, booster first, okay? Until once the raft will pass the booster first, there is a sensor there. So once the raft will cross that sensor, then you can dispatch another raft. Until that, you cannot dispatch.
The whole team of inspectors follows and inspects the maiden voyage on the extra long slide. Afterwards, the engineers evaluate the ride. If the assessment is positive, the park employees are allowed on the track to fine-tune the ride.
Okay, you ready?
For the first time, one of the full yellow rafts glides through the Shockwave's bright blue tube. With every meter, it picks up more speed. The water jets on the side provide an extra boost, and the raft is accelerated up to 30 kilometers per hour. In the first run, the inspectors are concerned with checking that the sensors in the tube work. Only when the raft has passed a sensor does the traffic light at the slide entrance up top turn green. Then, disaster strikes. The raft is stuck. It doesn't make it down the next slope. But the employees at the slide entrance up top don't notice this at first because the traffic light is green. They're already preparing the second raft. Alex Schott then stops the test run and prevents the 2 rafts from colliding. The sensors didn't work correctly. If this had happened during operation, 2 rafts would have crashed into each other.
We had real problems with that in other parts. One boat stopped and another boat crashed into it. We can't let that happen. The last section of the slide must have a monitoring system.
How many sensors?
The sensors are already installed. The hardware is all there. It's just a software problem.
Until the software problem is fixed, only 1 raft is allowed on the slide at a time. Project engineer Sophie Bertium begins fine-tuning the system. This means slide, slide, slide. Because it's only when she's riding the slide that Sophie notices where, for example, more water or water pressure is needed.
We're focusing on the end of ride. So everything leading up to the end of ride. So we have 5 boosters on this ride, all of them working flawlessly. So right now we're just tweaking that end of ride power river and pool entry. So we've got a bit of a challenge because we have 2 slides going into the same pool, meaning they have to be able to work at the same water level. So right now we've done some modifications and we think we're happy with how track 12, which is the Mammoth Blast, is behaving going into the pool. And our initial run was going down track 11 and it proved to be successful. So now we're just doing the same thing on track 12.
23,000 liters of water shoot through the Shockwave's tube every minute and really get the raft moving. Ride free.
It was awesome.
But awesome is not perfect.
We want to make sure that the entry into the pool is safe for all riders, multiple different configurations. So what we were seeing was that the boats were coming in and almost dipping into the water a little bit.
At the end of the ride, the raft doesn't glide smoothly into the water, but has to overcome a small edge.
So we've adjusted the water level, and in order to do that, we play with the water injectors of the power river, so either more water or less water.
More adjustments will be needed before Sophie is satisfied once and for all with the end result. She wants guests to enjoy the perfect slide experience. Head construction manager Sean Adams has already been briefed. He has all the water levels checked and adjusted in the evening.
It's really about balancing the top of the step with this slide, and getting them all kind of working together. We think we've got it balanced now where it's supposed to be. Your raft wants to come in flat on the water. So from the slide, flat on the water, nice smooth run out.
Another morning on the construction site of the gigantic water park. Among the first to be on their way, apart from head construction manager Sean, is a group of lifeguards heading for training. Today, they get to ride the Hydra for the first time. The slide is a hardcore racer. 4 people can race against each other at the same time. The track has a capacity of around 600 people per hour and is 146 meters long. The Hydra is ridden head first on a mat, and speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour are reached.
Right now, we're currently busy with training for all our guards. The importance of that is to make sure that everybody's trained up on how to operate the slide, but also what the importance is of inspecting the slide as well.
That's why they are first going up the slide instead of down, on foot, on all 4s. Later, during normal operation, the lifeguards will be responsible for inspecting the rides each morning before the park opens to guests.
So we got some paint marks on the slide surface, and we need to make sure that before we open, that these marks are cleaned by our water slide maintenance team. These paint marks can slow down the guests.
Now, during the construction phase, there are still a lot of defects.
Also, we are doing inspections to make sure that it looks presentable. So for this sticker, I will have to call the contractors to come and peel this off so that it will look presentable.
Depending on the weight of the guests, they can reach speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour on the slide. Any joints that are not absolutely perfect mean a high risk of injury.
So we are looking into these joints to make sure that there are no negative joints. Also to make sure that the silicone is in place and there's no chips around the joints, so that it's safe for the guests during the ride. If any guests try to open the arms, to make sure that it's smooth, no one get cuts.
As soon as one group of lifeguards has completed the inspection, it's the next group's turn.
Once the ride has been tested and inspected, we will turn the water on. And then the next step of inspection is to have test riders go down the ride and actually test the flow of water and to make sure that when you're starting at the dispatch that you're making it all the way safely down to the exit. And then, yeah, go ahead and turn all 4 slides on, please, yeah? Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
A lifeguard at Aquaventure is probably the coolest job in Dubai because here, riding the water slides is part of daily working life. A dream job for adrenaline junkies. Riding the fastest and coolest water slides in the world every morning before the first guests arrive. For the Atlantis lifeguards, today is a first on this track. But before the fun starts, they get a briefing on how to use the slide mats correctly.
Good morning. Morning. Okay, so welcome to Hyder Racers. So Janet, you'll be my dispatch guard, okay?
Okay, we're gonna have only 4 guests. 4. And then what we're gonna do, guys, make sure you hold your mat tightly, put your elbows inside, put your belly on the mat, and make sure to lift up your legs.
All right, good job.
All right, let everyone stand. No, don't go inside. You wait for the green light, guys, okay? Everyone is ready?
And then it's time to say, ready, set, go.
Let's go!
Perfect.
While the final work in the new section of the water park is going at full speed, another part of the resort is still under construction. Not only is the water park being enlarged, the hotel will also be significantly expanded. The Royal will be the new jewel of Atlantis, even more luxurious, even more extraordinary. 795 rooms, 100 suites, and 90 pools. And what's more, there's a 2-kilometer stretch of beach. Tom Reulenz is the head of the Atlantis Resort. He provides an insight into the new mega project.
As the guests arrive, they will come in between a fountain of water and fire. And then as we look around, we will have a number of aquariums all around us with marine animals from around the world, but specifically focusing on marine life from the Gulf. And then as guests arrive, they will be leading either to their guest rooms and suites or be going to one of the 17 restaurants and bars that we have here at Atlantis the Royal.
The hotel was designed by renowned New York architecture firm Kohn Pedersen Fox. The structure is modeled on a wave and aims to make guests feel as though they're floating. Many points in the building offer a 360-degree view of the sea and Dubai. In addition to the hotel area, 230 condos are being built in the complex. Those who can afford it will be able to, in the future, do their morning laps here every day.
We are here 96 meters in the sky, in the pool actually. We have a 90-meter pool that is being launched here, and really you are floating right above Dubai, hanging out in the air here. Imagine you're on the 43rd floor in this beautiful acrylic pool where it's see-through actually. You're looking out and you are really floating out in the air in your own pool on the terrace of your own suite.
The penthouse is the absolute highlight. It extends over 3 floors. But the smaller apartments are also really impressive.
We'll have our TV here, mini bar. We'll have a super large king bed that will be installed right here. Then you'll be entering into the bathroom. As you can see, We have this very unique bathtub here, have separate shower and a double sink as well.
Prices for such a luxury residence start at $2 million US. Thousands of workers populate the construction site of the Royal Atlantis. The complex is $1 billion project, and even in the city of superlatives, the hotel will raise the bar in terms of luxury.
I think the anticipation of a hotel opening is truly unique, and anyone who has done hotel openings will agree with me that it's a very special kind of adrenaline running through your veins. And I think to be anyone who will be part of this opening, I think will truly be able to be very, very proud and mark that as a milestone in their career.
This project will secure the resort's throne at the top of the Middle East hotel and entertainment industry for the next decade. The countdown to the opening of Trident Tower and Aquaventure's new attraction is on.
The pieces of the jigsaw puzzle are slowly coming together.
The final piece of the puzzle is the approval of the Shockwave by TÜV. This slide has cost the team a lot of nerves, but now the time has come. TÜV is performing its final inspection, the visual examination.
The rollers here are installed loosely because if you let your arm hang out of the boat, you can reach them. They move, so your arm could be caught by them. Keeping them loose means they can be pulled out if you have your hand or your arm trapped in them.
Alex Schrott can even assess from a distance whether all the nuts and bolts are properly tightened.
On the nut, you can see a white mark. That's the torque mark, which ensures that this structural bolt is really tightened.
In the tube itself, Alex Schrott keeps an eagle eye out for material or assembly faults.
The joints between the parts here, they must not overlap, meaning they must be straight or positive joints. There must be no joints where the part that goes downhill protrudes. That's because if it's a body slide, it would hurt your back, or otherwise it would damage the boat.
In the Shockwave, guests can reach top speeds of up to 30 kilometers per hour. The speed is achieved by the special water propulsion system.
You can see the jets here. Water comes out at a slant and at a very high pressure and is pressed against the boat. This high water pressure pushes the boat at a relatively high speed. All the overflowing water is then collected here and fed back into the system. The interesting thing is that you can now also ride uphill on a water slide. That's a fantastic idea that we would have laughed at 10 years ago.
It was the Trident Tower's problem child. The Atlantis team joined forces to fix the problems on the Shockwave and recover the lost time. Alex Schrott gives the green light with one small restriction.
The control system still needs fine-tuning. We can say that if you only let one boat go and there are no following boats, you are absolutely safe, no problem.
Relief for German park manager Sascha Trima. It was not clear whether all the work would be finished on time until the very end. But today, they finally got the go-ahead. The new section of the Aquaventure park will open on time. By combining their efforts, all the employees really stepped on the gas and spruced up the park for the event. The end result is impressive. The guests of honor at the opening are amazed.
Just before the opening, of course, you get butterflies in your stomach. It's something you can only do once in your life, and we've got the best park in the whole world right now, right?
A completely new section of the park was created here in 12 months on an area of almost 6 hectares. The centerpiece is the 34-meter-high Trident Tower, from which 6 extraordinary slides lead down into the depths. A 500-meter-long whitewater river was built, along with extra areas for children and teenagers, a restaurant, and a new beach. Dubai, the desert city of superlatives, is now one attraction richer. Aquaventure, with its extraordinary water slides, is one of the largest and most spectacular water parks in the world, and promises a thrilling cool down in the heat of the desert. A gigantic water park.